So basically, Aman, I've been traveling, and in fact, I'm here right now. And to all those who are joining us I'm in Kejuria. Kejuria is interesting because it's a part of what is called the influence zone of Suvendu Adhikari. So it's I would say roughly less than an hour's drive away from Kontai for those who don't understand how it works here. So it's less than 45 minutes drive from Kontai, which is we know where Shuvendu Adhikari stays. His home is there. Shishir Adhikari, his father's also there. And just a few days back, the Prime Minister had done a public meeting. And adjoining to Kejuria, there's a bridge. And when you cross the bridge, you enter Nondigram. So thereby lies the importance of Kejuria. And Kejuri it then becomes an influence zone of Suvendu Adhikari. And for the BJP, I would say it becomes very, very important to do well to replicate their Lok Sabha kind of performance over here. What puts on test, apart from the BJP factor, is also the Suvendu Adhikari factor, how much he can deliver. When he had joined the Trinamool Congress, I remember one TMC leader after another would dismiss him off by saying that when he was with the TMC, in his area, the BJP had made inroads. That at point of time, he was with the Trinamool Congress. So where is the influence of Shubhendu Adhikari? But that, I think, is more or less a facade, because I think today, of all the days, Mamata Banerjee must be understanding that the importance of Shubhendu Adhikari. I mean, he would brush his shoulder with her. He understands. He's not like any other outsider, any other novice over here. He knows the area. I mean, when you go to places, people say, Pada Pada Chene, which means every locality he knows. So, he knows this area very well, the strengths, the weaknesses, the strengths of the BJP, the weaknesses of the Trinamool Congress, and the strengths of the Trinamool Congress as such. So I got a sense over here is that the BJP certainly is much, much more confident. And therefore, in the first phase, how well they do becomes very important. And in fact, interestingly, just as we speak, the Trinamool Congress is planning to take a delegation to the election office and making a complaint that there has been massive rigging where, the BJP workers are entering the polling booths, dictating that they should vote for the BJP. And already a series of tweets have started coming out. They are giving booth by booth breakup to say where all the BJP has intruded. So that's the claim coming in from the Trinamool Congress. That is not a free and fair election. Many in the BJP would read this, then perhaps, and Aman, you can tell us this better, that, read this as, is it a sign of a lack of confidence? It works both the ways.
Yeah, definitely. See, as I traveled through this area, Jungle Mahal and East Midnapur last week and this week as well, see these 30 seats, which I believe is a big make or break momentum for either party. Now, 23 seats of these 30 are in Jungle Mahal. BJP won all four Lok Sabha seats in Jungle Mahal in 2019. So this is like a Mamata Banerjee citadel which has moved in mass to the BJP in the last elections. Mamata Banerjee faces the challenge of winning it back, if not winning it back, at least retrieving it in some measure. Because the Trinamool feels that, if Trinamool says BJP needs to sweep this phase to come to power in West Bengal, because this is the area that they won in 2019. And if the Trinamool can make some headway here and, win some of the seats here, it would be a big setback to the BJP, because BJP wants to build this election as a momentum from the first phase, from the second phase, which are the stronger areas of the BJP. So it is a very key phase for the BJP to hold on to those gains which it made in the 2019 Lok Sabha elections. Mamata, I think, is trying very desperately to make a comeback here. Last week, I met Satendra Mahato, the former top Naxal leader, who is in Jungle Mahal, who is rallying support for her. Joined Trinamool the last year, so he is trying to rally support for her. And the PM has even attacked the Trinamool on this count, saying the Trinamool Congress is trying to side with the Mois in a desperate tactic to make a comeback here, but people won't fall for this. And this area, I think, also has many social issues. Besides the politics, I think when I traveled, I found drinking water is a big issue. Manrega allotment work is a big issue. And tribal welfare, Kurmis asking for the ST status is a big issue here in these parts of the West Bengal. So BJP has promised big things for tribals in their manifesto, for women, for tribals. For Jungle Mahal Development Board has been promised. BJP is going all out to retain its fortress. But as I said, Trinamool, I think, is making also a very strong effort to try and retrieve some ground here, because East Midnapur, they are strong. Haldia, they are strong. But again, in East Midnapur, you have the Shubhendu Adhikari factor, as Pallavi says, which is a new thing this time. Earlier, Shubhendu Adhikari was managing East Midnapur for Mamata Banerjee. But now he's in the other camp. And I was at the PM's rally in Kontai earlier this week. It was a huge rally. and a big show of strength by Shubhendu Adhikari there. So that how that rally impacts East Midnapur, how that rally even impacts the Nandigram seat, which goes to polls on April 1, would be very interesting to see, because BJP sees that rally as a big momentum towards also the second phase of the polls, which comes up on April 1.
And Aman, I know this the woman factor is being used a lot at 49% vote bank and all of that. I'm investing because when I met one, I was in a small village and the villagers were telling me that just 2 days back, यहाँ पे tap लगा, and there are figures and statistics to show that almost only 2 out of 10 households actually have tapped water at home. So on one hand, you're talking about reaching out to women, and you see, I mean, even in Kejuria, for instance, I saw lots of women who were actually filling up their, that kalash and all that, and the matkas, and then they were going and casting their vote. So, I'm sure the women are not also silly. They understand that, a lot of our chores would have been, our burden would perhaps come down if, for example, we had something as basic as water. So when you're in power for 10 years, it becomes very difficult to say and make an excuse by saying, oh, this is what we are going to provide this. Did you also see the same in Jungle Mahal
Yes.
area?
Drinking water is a huge issue here, which is less talked about in the election because of the hyper politics going on. But drinking water amongst women is a huge issue, and that is why the BJP has been really stressing on the Har Ghar Jal scheme, which the center is pushing, and they are promising a speedy implementation of this scheme in Jungle Mahal when they are voted to power. The center anyways wants to push that scheme across the country, even if they're not in power in a state, but they feel that the state government has been blocking their central government schemes, especially Har Ghar Jal and PM Awas Yojana, the two major schemes which they feel in the first two phases, Jungle Mahal and East Midnapur, the schemes have not been delivered by the Mamata government, or it has posed obstacles to these schemes. So there is a sentiment on the ground, especially amongst the women voters, that these are schemes which affect their day-to-day lives. If you need to get drinking water at your home, it's something of tangible benefit which comes to you in a day-to-day life. So that is why the woman-centric promises in the BJP manifesto. I was also at a rally in Jhargram where Arjun Munda had come. Just a day after the manifesto was released. He spent 15 minutes of his speech stressing on the cash tolls for the girl child which have been promised by the BJP government, especially for SC, ST tribal populations. So he reeled out how 3 lakh will come to each girl child over her lifetime if the BJP comes to power. So that's a huge, again, a cash promise for the women. 33% reservation for women, free public transport for women, free medical care for women. These are big promises. And if the BJP is able to solidify its ground with the help of these promises, Mamata will find it difficult to come back into this area because Mamata Banerjee, see, people say they love Didi. If you go to the ground and you speak to people, people say they love Didi, but they don't love the party as much. They have complaints about the party. Yeah, they
And
have.
that's the thing, Aman, because I keep on drawing a comparison to say a UPA 2. I mean, UPA 2 also, even when there was the peak of those corruption scams, they would say, oh, Dr. Manmohan Singh on his own is clean, but he's running a government which is extremely corrupt. Now, the Dhritarashtra syndrome, I mean, how long do you get away with it by saying, okay, I am clean, but what do I do if the people around me have let me down and they are corrupt? I mean, when you're the head of the government, aren't you also, and head of the party in her case, aren't you also going to be held accountable for that? I mean, there are two things I find very well researched in the BJP, and I don't think the BJP is just talking off the cuff. One is the tola baji, the cut money. See, for many outside Bengal, they don't even understand how it's actually working on the ground in Jhargram, in here also. In fact, I mean, I did meet a former bureaucrat who was posted in Bengal, and now he's taken deputation. Not a former, but he's taken a deputation back to Delhi. And he was telling me that in the first 5 years, everything was gung ho because she would decide, she understood everything. But in the last 5 years, somehow it's not the same Mamata Banerjee. It is Abhishek Banerjee who's wielding his clout, which rest of the people in the party are not liking it. People on the ground level, they feel that, we are having to give a lot of cut money in Jhargram, for example, or in that Cyclone Amphan example. Much of the money out of the 10 rupees, if I don't get 8 and I get only 2 and the rest of the 8 is going to a party worker, I'm not going to, kind of like it. So there are a couple of factors which are working over here. One is the cut money, second, nepotism, and both of them seem to be interlinked. And I find it so ironical because I remember I was here in 2011 also, and she would take on the left for this factor that that they indulge in cut money. I have no one. I am Akla Cholori. I am all alone. Today she talks about a lone woman taking on the men. But unfortunately for her, is that one man who's her nephew, which is creating so much problem. And I know she's distancing herself from him a bit, but don't you get it that it's a little too late? I mean, don't you think the BJP obviously has done its homework very well?
Yeah, absolutely. See, the TMC has tried really hard to insulate Mamata Banerjee from the image of the party. They have tried to say that Mamata Banerjee is the face in all the hoardings. She's the face of the campaign. But a top BJP leader told me 3 days back a very interesting thing. He said, How can you insulate Mamata Banerjee from the TMC? Mamata Banerjee is TMC and TMC is Mamata. As you said, this is not the UPA government where the Manmohan Singh is different and the Congress power center is different.
Absolutely.
It is just one. It is intertwined. So this attempt by the TMC, which had started like a year back when they hired the strategist Prashant Kishore, who tried to put this way forward that Didi is honest, Didi is clean, and Didi is love. There are drawbacks in the party, but we are trying to correct it. So, Didi went on stage, and even now in her rallies, she goes on stage and tells Trinamool workers that please return the cut money if you have taken it. So, but is that too late now? Are actually, PM Awas Yojana, 50,000 rupees is given. I've had villagers telling me that, we had to pay 20,000 cut money to get that amount, which comes from the center. So it is a big issue. So if you return cut money, is all forgiven? Or is the CM insulated from that? I don't really think so, because people at the ground are silent. As I said, they say they love Didi, but is that enough to pull the TMC through in this election? Is that identity remains to be seen? And Abhishek Banerjee, I think Abhishek Banerjee, there are only two campaigners in Trinamool right now. It's Mamata and Abhishek. So, if you see the campaign schedule which is shared by the Trinamool, it's basically two leaders. So Abhishek Banerjee is their main star campaigner besides Mamata. So
Yes.
Mamata may try to distance herself. I don't know if she's tried to, but the party is still clearly backing Abhishek Banerjee. Abhishek Banerjee's rallies they're streamed on all Trinamool platforms. His road shows are streamed on all platforms. They are, I think, completely behind. I interviewed Firhad Hakim last week, and he clearly told me that when I asked him that is this dynasty charge of BJP an issue, so he said that Abhishek Banerjee is the new generation, and the new generation has to step forward at some stage. And if it is Abhishek Banerjee, what problem does anybody have? So this is like the topmost leader of the Trinamool, who's seen driving Mamata Banerjee in Calcutta, or pushing her wheelchair when she discharged from hospital. Also rooting for Abhishek Banerjee. So I think the party is completely behind the two leaders. And will this charge then stick? The dynasty charge, nepotism charge, will it stick on Mamata Banerjee? Is the most interesting aspect of this election, which I think the results will soon show.
On pitching her as, she's testing on all them 294 seats to make the point that Trinamool Congress is all about the rest of the Trinamool Congress. Also, the Prashant Kishore factor that you were talking about, I got a sense of this not just from the outsiders, but many insiders within the TMC. They point out that yes, we can understand that she was jittery, and that's how Prashant Kishore entered the picture. That after the Lok Sabha elections, but she is a grassroots neta. She understands her political instinct is so strong and she's so shrewd. And for a person who has managed to overthrow the 34 years of the left reign, why does she need someone from outside to even run the campaign for her? I mean, things like dictating the ticket distribution and, just managing the campaign, her campaign, so on and so forth. The Prashant Kishore factor is also something, I mean, he may have tweeted to say, I'm going to give up my job, but, he's made what he had to make. He's going to go off to Punjab. He's got Tamil Nadu to look after. I found it very bizarre also that right in the bang of the critical phase, he went off to Punjab for 4 to 5 days, which means that is there a sense of wariness and nervousness within the TMC? I mean, and also, there were lone woman. You must be seeing the animations which are coming up. The last 3-4 days was animated cartoons and those little snippets and video where she's shown as, the street fighter. Yesterday they had one fighter Didi. Remember from Junglemahal and so on.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, did you get a sense? Is that making the BJP nervous? Because I didn't get that sense. I don't think that this whole thing about I'm injured, I'm a tiger, but I'm not down and out. It may not resonate with a woman as much because At the end of the day, whether I'm getting water at home, whether I'm getting a job or not, I think that would matter. I mean, what kind of a fighter woman are you? For 10 years, you've not given me what as a woman, I would have wanted from you.
Yeah. See, I think the Prashant Kishore factor was explained to me very nicely by a Trinamool leader a few days back when he said, this was a patient which was going into the ICU. So you needed a doctor to come and do the surgery, and a doctor who's performed great surgeries in the past. So we got the doctor and he's performed the surgery and the patient is alive again, kicking up for the election campaign. So that is how Prashant Kishore's role was described to me by a Trinamool leader a few days back. See, what Prashant has done is basically shore up Mamta's image. He's here and he realized that the only way TMC can win this election is on Mamta's face. There is no other way. And she has to evoke the love for Didi amongst the people, and that is what he's done. In the entire campaign is revolving around one face, Mamta Banerjee. That is the only face you see in Kolkata in hoarding, that's the only face you see on any poster in the entire state. But the BJP, BJP has had this love-hate relationship with Prashant Kishore, and BJP doesn't really see it much as a factor. They see a professional strategist they are not a great fan of professional strategists coming and, retrieving elections for a political party like the Trinamool. But I think that as far as the Mamta's injury goes, I think BJP feels that the Mamta's injury has no real resonance on the ground. They, in fact, have gone ahead and attacked her. Like Dilip Ghosh has been attacking her, saying that, even made that comment that why is she wearing a sari and, showing her foot. And he went on and even said that, that is insulting Bengal's culture. So BJP, I don't think, is shying away from attacking Mamta Banerjee on this count. And they feel that there is no sympathy factor which will work on the ground for Mamta Banerjee on this count. While this sight of Mamta Banerjee, on a wheelchair, campaigning through the state on a wheelchair, Trinamool thinks that evokes sympathy because Mamta has also been alleging that she's been attacked by the BJP leaders. There's a conspiracy to kill her.
Yeah, the Dilip Ghosh comment, I don't know if that's going to be turned around that much because the TMC, I mean, they're tweeting, but I'm very surprised they went to Election Commission yesterday. And Kakuri, we asked her this question. She said, no, we haven't made this an issue. So people will understand. I don't know. I mean, before I'm going to start winding up from here, because I've just to go to enter some of the booths, I don't know. Somehow this time round, I get a sense that there's something which is lacking even in the TMC's campaign. They're even not to match up or they're confused. I mean, I'm surprised from their point of view that why are they not making the Dilip Ghosh thing a big issue? I mean, she's not even talking about it extensively. And she's the kind of woman who's always spoken about the fact that, remember that Mayawati's Dalit ki beti hu and they're attacking me? She does this a lot in her politics, that I am choti pode jai and everyone is against me, these men are against me. She's not making this an issue. Yesterday she talks about the Gujarat riots and all, knowing very well that that is something which boomerangs. A personal attack on the Prime Minister works very well for him and for the BJP.
Exactly. See, this is a unique part of the campaign, which I see that Mamta attacking Prime Minister Narendra Modi directly. Even saying yesterday that, words like screwed hila hai, and, that kind of a language against the Prime Minister. Now, we have not seen this work in any election so far. Arvind Kejriwal learned it the hard way and he stopped personal attacks on the Prime Minister and he won Delhi. But here, Mamta Banerjee, I think, thinks differently. She's going on all offensive against the Prime Minister. Now, will that work? I don't really know because on the ground, if Mamta is loved, even the Prime Minister is loved a lot. The people are fascinated by the Prime Minister. You see the rush at his rallies, lakhs of people turning up in Bankura and Kontai. I think people love the Prime Minister as well. So these personal attacks, I don't know, will help Mamta Banerjee much. She should rather be attacking maybe the promises being made with the BJP, but even that is not working because, I saw when the BJP manifesto was released, the Trinamool leaders attacked the manifesto saying mainly that, it is being released by a person from Gujarat. So the outsider card, but, how does that matter to the people on the ground as long as the promises are there? So I think the Trinamool campaign, as good as it may be, focusing on Mamta, but I think it is losing a bit of steam because, it is by going on this direction of attacking the Prime Minister, I think it will be counterproductive.